We're thinking about Mother's Day, and one really nice thing you can do for Mom, take it from a mom, is to make her breakfast. Take care of the food.
That's
make lunch,
right.
make breakfast, just so she doesn't have to do all the preparation. Janine Washle is here to show us how to make the perfect biscuit for Mom. Now, folks who have never made homemade biscuits, we're used to opening the can and whacking it on the counter and going from that, might be a little intimidated, but this does not have to be difficult.
No, it's not difficult, but you do need to know a few tricks.
Okay.
Biscuits require a light touch, a very, screaming hot oven, and you will have success. But it's it's bread bakers that usually mess up biscuits because they use a heavier hand. And I'm going to walk you through it. It's totally easy. Right now, bulk mixes are really popular.
Like a baking mix? You mean like a Pioneer or Bisquick or something?
Well, actually homemade bulk mixes, baking
Okay.
mixes. And if you go out on Pinterest, they are a dime a dozen: pancake mixes and biscuit mixes. And that's all fine and well, but if you have self-rising flour, I mean, you can put together a fresh biscuit even more quickly than you can a bulk mix.
Right, because self-rising flour takes out having to put in the baking soda or baking powder and the
salt. Exactly.
Okay.
And with the bulk mix, you're adding all of that. You're essentially making self-rising flour. And in this case, we've already got it all done. And also, it's very important. You'll hear people talk about white lily flour for biscuits. Here's why it's important. It says directly on the packaging, soft winter wheat flour, and that gives a light biscuit. All the other flours, and I checked the 3 other brands that I had in my kitchen, are all made with hard winter wheat. That creates a gluten strand, and that gluten strand makes a tough biscuit. So you really do want to invest in white lily flour. So we measured out 2½ cups of the self-rising flour. It already has the baking soda in it. And then we add our aromatics, and these are the soda pop biscuits. These are really tasty. We've got salt, pepper, and fresh dill.
Okay,
and you
so
can
salt and pepper.
You can change out the herb, to parsley or chives,
rosemary,
or,
whatever it is you like.
Rosemary would be really good. And you stir those in, and then after that, you cut in your fat. And what I've already done here is taken a ½ stick of butter, and I've cubed it, and that's half of the process right there.
Soften a little bit.
And that is a pastry blender.
Yes, Sterling goes, what is that fancy thing? It's the pastry cutter. And
That's
you're just
right.
going to work in the butter.
Exactly. And so
Is my technique wrong?
I push down and then I twist, and that will give me the pea-size clumps that we're looking for. Yes,
so
exactly.
you have to go. I have to go back through it. I do. But you'll have to go back and knock it off, and then you just keep working it in.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah,
go ahead.
you've got it. And so now I've got to
switch out.
And you can see that I've already, it's already covered with flour, but we've got the pea-sized lumps in there.
It becomes very crumbly. You don't want big hunks of butter.
Exactly.
All right.
So now, if you'll measure out our liquids, and we've got a ½ cup of your mom's favorite soda pop. I'm keeping it in the Commonwealth with Ale 8 today.
Do you taste the soda?
Very
Depending
slightly.
On what kind it is?
Exactly. Ale 8 is a mild flavor. It's a secret recipe, but I think that it's a very light ginger ale.
Okay.
And if you notice, I'm using a fork because you want to lift like this and just barely moisten, and then that's a ¼ cup of milk, but we're not going to use all of it. And this is very key. You don't want your biscuit mix, whatever you're mixing up, perfect. You don't want it to be sopping wet. If you have a wet biscuit mix, once you mix in your liquids, you're probably going to have a heavy biscuit.
Okay.
And actually, so this helps us lift. And here's another tip. If you see that you've got a lot of flour at the bottom, only put your remaining liquid where the dry stuff is. That way you can work the dry stuff
and then
not over-mix the rest of it. Here's another tip.
You're running out of time.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. So then you dump it out, and this is called a shaggy dough.
So it's okay if it's crumbly.
Oh, it totally is. And then you take your, I always use parchment paper because nothing sticks to parchment paper. And I use my hands like this to form my dough.
Nice. You don't get it all over yourself.
Exactly. And then using either a biscuit cutter or a knife, I pat out my dough using my fingertips like this, and then I cut, and I end up with this product, which is the soda pop biscuit.
That looks delicious. Now, Janine has recipes for a number of different types of biscuits: drop biscuits, cheese biscuits, the herb biscuits. She can send those to you. All you do is go to WDRB.com. We have a link to her information on our morning page. You email her, she'll send you back a brochure with all kinds of recipes, including these biscuits. And when we come back, you're going to teach us how to do some yeast related things?
Polar opposite. We really have to get our muscles into our yeast rolls.
That's why Sterling's going to do that. He's been working on the gun show. He's ready to knead some dough.